Hello and welcome to coverage of Grand Prix Detroit. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Jacob Van Lunen. We're ready for round 7 action here at the Team Limited GP, and boy, do we have a feature match for you. Undefeated teams, Ben Stark, Luis Scott Vargas, and Eric Froelich on the left. This is Luis that we're starting off with here. You can see him on the left there with the blue-green deck. Playing against Tom Martel, Alexander Hayne, and Paul Cheon.
Man, that Paul Cheon
Both
guy's
undefeated.
really good at picking teammates.
Yeah, not bad at all. And here we are off to the races with with Luis Scott Vargas versus Alexander Hayne.
Pretty cool matchup here. I mean, these guys are very close friends. When I was playing regularly, Paul Cheon and Luis Scott Vargas were inseparable. You know,
They lived together.
They were attached to the hip. They would play together constantly.
Double Jesse and Thief. Who's going to blink first? One tempo play from one player could put the other one significantly ahead. And he's got it. Anchor to the Aether is going to put the Thief on top, trigger his Thief, get it in for damage, and even hit a land drop for Luis Scott Vargas. Now, this is a big swing in the wrong direction here for Hayne. It actually is going to be pretty tough for him to recover.
Yeah, I mean, especially if Luis can follow this up with other tempo plays, things like Void Mages, just even other bounce spells, he
Wild
can just
Instincts.
continually do that.
Oh, no.
Oh.
You know what this tells me is that Alex wasn't going to hit a land drop for the turn.
Absolutely. That's exactly what that tells you. Normally, when you're playing card draw spells, you're doing so once you've, played your cards to the board. You want those to be the last cards you play from your hand. But if you're not going to hit a land drop, it becomes very important to play those card draw spells much earlier, because if you don't hit your land drops, you're going to lose the game.
Yeah, wow, I see a Rogue's Passage in hand here for Luis, too. So after the dust settles, he can even get his Jesse and Thief in there if he decides what more cards is what he needs. Now, at the moment, that's not really what he needs. He just wants to start flooding the board with creatures and capitalize on this quick start.
Yeah, he has 6 cards in his hand right now.
Yeah, so that's not really the name of the game at the moment. Languish, though, for Hayne is going to clear things up, wiping away Rock Smaulers and the Jesse and Thief. Whoa, but Outland Colossus, this is just Haymaker City here. Jeez. Is there a claustrophobia in the future here for Alexander Hayne? He's going to need something. All right, how about an Unholy Hunger?
Even better.
Wow, so these guys are just going head-to-head. That was going to be insane. The Colossus, very difficult to block anyway, but the Rogue's Passage making it impossible to block, and that Rogue's Passage is becoming a bigger issue every turn because Hayne, he's going to have to deal with every threat that comes out.
Absolutely.
You can't, right now.
He needs to affect the board and present enough of a presence where Luis is forced to tap his mana and not use that Rogue's Passage. And at the same time, he also can't be attacking, he has to be blocking. Yeah. So it's going to be a difficult road ahead of Hayne here. He has less cards in his hand, too. It's just, I think Luis has a claustrophobia and a Conclave Naturalist.
Dear
so
God, man. Wow, here's Necromantic Summons to get back the Colossus, and all of a sudden the race is thrown firmly back in Luis's court here. Is this going to be claustrophobia? Is that
I think it must be.
Is that Colossus going to get clamped down into a little box? It looks like it. All right, down it goes. And that means that not only does the Rock Smaulers get to hit, it also gets to become renounced. Now it's a 6/6 trample.
It's a big boy. They just keep coming.
So now Kothafed for Alexander Hayne? What in the world? This game has been absurd.
And I mean, Luis could keep on attacking. He is definitely still in the driver's seat here, being ahead in life and having, first dibs. But it's not looking great.
Now, we see that Alexander Hayne's down to 13. Luis has a clean attack here. He can just rumble right in and knock him down to 7 if he wants. If he trades off for Kothafed, you got to figure that Luis is happy with that. Water Courser attack.
The Water Courser before the attack. Interesting.
Yeah, so that
is that Might of
the Masses. Yep, that's what Alexander's going to think it's such an obvious play to play it first that he's going to put him on it, and he in fact has it. So he's even going to get in for one.
Here, I don't think. I think Alex assumed that he didn't have it because Luis played it first. Luis may have leveled him there because.
Why do you think that?
Because I don't think that Alex would think that Luis would play the Watercourser first and telegraph the Might of the Masses so obviously.
But it didn't. But it gets him in for extra damage. Like there is a tangible reason to do it first.
Oh, and I guess 13. Yeah, it's 2 versus 3 turns worth of attacks. So, yeah.
Interesting stuff though. Either way, and here's Possess Gob to get back on Holy Hunger. The power level of cards that each player has played this game has been off the charts. And he's also got a Maritime Guard as well. Now at this point it gets interesting because that Rogue's Passage could be get you down to 5 here. Now the problem of course is that Luis knows that that's not going to be a long-term plan because of the Unholy Hunger. So he's just going to attack. Unholy Hunger also represents 2 life.
Yeah.
It does have Spell Mastery.
Which also makes the Rogue's Passage, again, slightly worse.
Mm-hmm. Also, we'll note, taking a look at the top bar here, Paul Cheon up again over Eric Froelich. So we'll keep an eye on the match count for you here as well. And again, the hits keep flowing here. A free creature for Luis Scott Vargas. In this case, it's nothing amazing, but hey, he'll take it.
I think he also left a...
he left something else.
Wild Instincts on the top of his deck.
Wild Instincts?
That's what it looked like to me. And I mean, that's not going to be the best thing while Hain has mana open for the Unholy Hunger, but...
No.
Pretty nice one to have in your hand.
You know, and even then, I mean, Luis can just do it on something smaller, right? And just say, yeah, but then I get to keep my rock smallers here. You know, pick your poison. All right, so Reeve Soul is going to be used to take down Orchard Spirit. And Hain is just going to main phase the Unholy Hunger. He wants to make sure that he doesn't run into a negate Clash of Wills, something along those lines. And he's going to lock up those 2 life as well, putting him back up to 10. God, Luis has been ahead at almost every step here. Somehow, I still don't know how you can be ahead of the draw that Alexander Haynes had, but he has seemed to be ahead here. That's 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's see, it took 3, so he can't actually pump it, or he could pump it once, but he wants to get the Orchard Spirit down instead. He's already knocked Hain down to 4.
Hain is an honorary Cheon this weekend.
I see. Like, I just want to remind you, this was the Languish game, right? This is still the game that Languish happened on. That Jesse and Thief had been sitting in hand forever. Luis Scott Vargas has the win on the table, points it out to his opponent, and with a chuckle, he says, yeah, okay, you got me. You can see that both Eric and Luis are having a little laugh there. A little more business-like on the far end of the table, though, for Ben Stark versus Tom Martel, which I think we should jump over there and take a look at what they're up. They're still in game 1. Cheon and Froelich playing very quickly here. Teammates, by the way. Remember, you know, Cheon operated in that Ben Stark seat for quite a while. This is actually the first time the Ben's joined this particular lineup.
Ooh, some cards that I like on the table right now.
Wow. What do you like? 5/5 Flying Demons, Archangels of Tithes, Patrons of the... What do you like?
Sword of the Animist.
Sword of the Animist. You do like that one. Kenji's shaking his head because he likes Timberpack Wolf the best out of all these cards. But only when it's by itself. All right, and I think that Martel is going to get this demon out of here with a Celestial Flare. No, it looks like both of the flyers attack there, so, or block there, excuse me. All right, so down goes Patron of the Valiant. And what's the recovery plan here for Ben Stark?
Well, I mean, he's got a 5/5 demon that's kind of winning the game right now by itself.
It's a 2-turn clock. Unless there's a chump block in there at some point.
Gets to search his library for a card and put it directly into play when he attacks.
a card.
It is a card.
That's one way to put it. I don't think it's the accurate way to put it, but it is one way.
Early in the game, it is.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I like that sword quite a bit. It definitely holds its own. That wasn't funny. It really does. It holds its own. It's pretty good. How dare you laugh at it?
I mean, Ben is like really far ahead here. The 6/6, it's 2-turn clock. Archangel of Tides, obviously stellar Magic card, but in this spot,
A likely chump block candidate.
yes.
And Ben's looking to be in good shape here. And just a few short turns to finish off Tom Martel. Can Tom swing this in his favor? See, he's got a Rock Smallers in his hands. Another card though. What is it? Light of the Masses? What is that? Oh, I might find out right here.
Yeah, it looks like he's lining up just 2 mana here.
Okay, so we'll see what it was. It was another Timberpack Wolf. This does mean that he doesn't get to cast his 5-drop this turn.
It does mean, however, that he's able to attack
For a
with the
little
wolf
more.
that he has. So he's actually going to, get in here, putting Ben down to 7. And then, suddenly Ben has to think about whether or not he wants to crash with the deep.
Right, because now all of a sudden Martel has lethal.
Yeah. And I mean, as long as Ben has a blocker that's alive,
Yes.
then
Lethal is off the table here. And it's close, right?
it is very close.
Like he's playing against a green-white opponent that could easily have any number of pump spells here too.
yeah,
So Ben's
even
gonna have to
enshrouding
go through
this
that.
would be good enough.
Yeah,
with one blocker.
One power. But Ben's decided he's going for it, which makes a lot of sense, especially if he has any follow-up of any consequence. Oh, geez, Cleric of the Forward Order has a lot of consequence here.
It does.
He's able to gain 2 life, which is going to change that math, and then also put a blocker up to get a redundant blocker and keep that demon into must block mode next turn.
Yeah, now moving around your equipment, but putting it on the guy you're attacking with, then moving it to the guy you're blocking with. It's really wise and helps your race math a lot, especially in a format like this. One of the cool things about Sword of the Animus is it gives you enough land that you can actually do that.
It kind of helps pay for itself.
It pays for itself. And also, you'll
never thought
notice
of
that
that.
he has 9 lands in play. His opponent has 6, and he's actually outcarded his opponent at every stage of the game. So he's drawing more gas than his opponent also by searching his lands out of his deck. Archangel of Tithes. I think that card will have some constructed application during its time in Standard.
Just needs to find the right home.
Yeah, I mean, there were players playing it at Pro Tour Magic Origins who did pretty well, actually.
Okay, yeah, we'll keep an eye on that one for sure. Why does Ben have 5 mana tapped here? What am I missing out of that?
So he had to pay 1 mana to attack with the Angel.
No, he didn't have to pay though, right? It's only if it's untapped.
Oh, so maybe he just tapped a land for no reason?
It looks like he's got it to spare, but he may have paid thinking that, but just not realize it because it had attack last turn.
It did attack, so it was tapped, so he would not have had to pay for it.
All right, that must be where that mana went. Okay. Because it's 2 to equip, 2 to cast, he should have 4 mana attack, but whatever. So double block here means that one of the wolves is going to trade for the cleric. The Archangel of Tithes is still back to block, but can only do so once. Did Tom find a way to prolong this game? I know he still has the Rock Smallers in hand, and he's got another card too. Only 2 games finished so far. I talked to Luis in between last rounds. He's going to go for the Maulers here. And Luis's team, they had only dropped a game coming into this match.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's impressive.
So they had gone through 6 rounds, but the records were 5-0 because the match had ended before they had finished. 5-0 and 5-1 was how the matches.
Their decks must be pretty good then.
I think you're right. Also not bad Magic players.
Yeah, I mean, these guys know how to No to play some cards.
Now, what is this here? Oh, Aven Battle Priest now for Ben Stark.
So good here.
It made a lot of sense because he actually attacked with his Stalwart Aven there, and I'm like, oh, he's opened himself up. He's increased the clock so that either of his are thing. But yeah, he had a lot of mana to use too. But that makes a lot of sense. His life total bolstered, and Tom Martel has to scoop him up. So Ben Stark wins his game. Luis wins his game. Efros lost his first game to Cheon, but they're in the middle of game 2. We can jump back down there and take a look at that one. Ooh, geez. There's not a lot going on.
It looks like Eric's pretty far ahead here, even though, things are gummed up for sure. I don't think that. Oh, well, never mind. Now that we see the life totals, I think that my opinion of the situation has changed a little bit.
Yeah, so it looks like Froelich is hanging on for dear life here. He's got a Fiery Impulse to take out a Boggart Brute on end step. It's stuck with only one mountain there. He, has to use up his spells, even at times when he might not prefer to do it. He might want to trick Cheon into attacking with a bunch of things, thinking that he's got lethal, and then use that spell. But he knows that he can only get rid of one spell per turn out of his hand, so he's going to use it. He's got a second mountain now. Oh, here's Active Treason. He's got an Nantuko Husk.
That's pretty good.
And he's going to attack with the Sergeant and the Rhino and the Husk. Oop. Can't get in for 16 here, right?
I don't think so. No, we cannot.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you just attack with those two, or I would.
All right, well, looks like Eric agrees, and he's going to do just that. His opponent, Paul Cheon, tapped out. No mana.
Yeah, I think if I'm Paul here, I'd probably double block the Sergeant.
Even though you've got him down to 3? Every creature counts.
Every creature does count. I guess, you can go wide in
Oh,
some way or another.
no.
Oof. I did not see that coming.
Wow. Fiery Conclusion. I think that Cheon thought, well, okay, fine. You'll sack it to your Husk or whatever. But it was even worse. He lost 2 creatures in that transaction. And what does Cheon have? Oh.
Is that what I think it is?
He has Chandra's Ignition in his hand. What does that do here? Not a lot.
Not a lot.
In fact, all it does is kill probably a Shambling Ghoul.
Yeah.
It does do 2, though. Wow, this is going to be close. If Cheon can untap and either feels comfortable enough or feels like he must, he can target the Somberwald Alpha and end the game with that Ignition.
Looks like Eric was on no cards.
That
so I
was
don't know
his
how
last
you could
card.
feel any more comfortable than that.
Oh, jeez, Lightning Javelin. Eric proactively taking out the Somberwald Alpha, getting a scry, and attacking.
And
This is insane.
Yeah, and now
That was 5. That's 1 turn now that Cheon has. If he doesn't have a creature here, this could be over.
oh my goodness.
That
This
was
has
a
gotta be
sick rip for Eric Froelich.
Yeah.
He put a card on bottom. And he doesn't have a creature.
I think he's still alive, though. I think he has Ravaging Blaze Chandra's
Ignition. That's what he has. So he can use Blaze. Let's look at his. Wait a minute. That must not be Ravaging Blaze because he does have Spellmaster.
Well, no, but the spells get countered because the Husk
okay,
counter it.
so what does he do then?
I mean, I think
You just
have to
Ravaging Blaze,
Ravaging Blaze so you don't die, and that's
and
all
then
you can
hope
do.
to rip a Rock Maulers or something that can actually block.
Yeah.
Is he going to main phase it here? Yeah, he's going to take out the 3/3. He's going to do it on his turn. That way he doesn't take more damage from the Husk. Because he could just die if he waited.
Yep.
Okay, so that's going to work. Wow, so Paul Cheon hanging on by a thread here.
The wording on Ravaging Blaze, it says that creature's controller doesn't actually also target the player. Otherwise, it would still resolve.
Hey, hit you for 2. You're down to 3. Untapped. Does he find a creature? Found a red spell. Was it a Mage Ring Bully? What was that? No, it was a Subterranean Scout.
Oh my goodness.
So that now would, so this is what happens. If Eric finds a creature, then he's going to have to jump block with the Subterranean Scout.
Well, he can just ignition here.
Oh, does he have the mana?
Yeah, and then.
Oh, he has the mana. Okay.
So Eric goes to 1 here.
Yes, and he's just facing lethal. Yeah, he needed the extra mana. He had it. Oh, and that's it. Paul Cheon pulls that one out. So close.
Jeez.
All right, so that's one match to Paul Cheon. It's also the only wins on his team. And now we're going to see Eric Froelich mosey on over to have a look at what his friends are doing here. Why don't we take a look at our back table, Ben Stark versus Tom Martel, as it looks like they're just underway here. We'll get if we get a game 3 on the middle table, we'll jump to that for sure. Ooh.
That's a good one.
Well, we came just in time, didn't we? Mana Gorger Hydra for Tom Martel.
I love that card.
Oh, it's great. I think he would have preferred it a turn or two ago, but he'll take it. Looks like he's missed a couple of land drops here, maybe. One. Passes turn back to Ben Stark. Ben's back on the top 25 pro rankings at number 25. And he's going to attack with Guardian Automaton. Martel has no interest in risking Mana Gorger Hydra, so he's just going to take the 3, drop down to 17. And here's Read the Bones for Ben.
Tick.
Yeah, and there we go. Mana Gorger Hydra is now at 2/2 with Trample. Ben Stark down to 16. And there's a Cleric of the Forward Order.
And now Tom, I'm sure, sideboarded in some number of disenchant effects, playing against the black-white deck as a green-white deck.
Cost a Caterpillar action.
Yeah, Cost of Caterpillar. The sideboard cards in this format are very, very important. I don't know how often you've won games with Aerial Volley, but...
Nope.
No? I win lots of games with that card.
What do you usually kill with it? What's your...
Thopters, Fetid Imps.
That Fetid Imps
Thopters
is a nice
and
target.
Fetid
Oh,
Imps.
yeah. Pile them up. How about Charging Griffins?
Yeah, that's another good one. 1 mana to your 4 mana.
Yeah.
That's a deal.
Instant speed, too. Ugh, that's nasty.
It's interesting. I mean, Ben just may want to 2-for-1 himself and get the Hydra off the table, but as Tom, I'd be happy to take that trade now as opposed to just getting it hit by something like Suppression Bonds in the following turn. And basically a free attack with the Force Mage here.
Now, Enshrouded Mist, of course, comes to mind as I see that one untapped Plains there.
Yeah. Now, this is interesting. With Ben just blocking like that, Tom's got to not feel good about this because you don't want to get into a racing situation when your opponent has such, like, tremendous potential lifelink in play. So I imagine we're going to see Suppression Bonds here, yeah.
Suppression Bonds turning on the Blood Curse Knight. That's what you were referring to, right?
Exactly. Now it's extremely difficult to win a race because Blood Curse Knight gets +1/+1 and lifelink.
So it's a 4/3 lifelink?
Yeah, it's an 8-point swing every time that 3-mana creature attacks.
Yeah, that race is going to be very tough to win.
Wow.
There's Enshrouding Mist, so he's going to use it on the Stalwart Aven, which, since it's renowned, gets to untap.
Yeah.
And it's going to still give it +1/+1, and he gets to just eat the Blood Curse Knight. Pretty nice.
Pretty good.
Yeah. So he did have it, too, by the way, from that previous attack. And there's a Fetid Imp. We've talked about Fetid Imp a little bit here in the booth.
Why did Ben go up to 16?
I don't know.
Because the damage was prevented.
I think he was just at 16, right?
All right, he was at 12.
Okay, I don't know.
Yeah.
They'll take a look at it. Yeah, make sure it gets fixed. Judge is there making sure. All right, looks like they've got it sorted out now.
Yeah.
Getting back down to 12. Yeah.
Figured it out.
Okay. We see Fetid Imp here against the green-white deck. A great card against this strategy. Very difficult for them to deal with. and it can block things like Charging Griffins and all that.
Yeah. A very efficient card there. Ooh, that's a good one.
Ben's down to 7. You can see that Martel's being diligent about making sure that his Mana Gorger Hydra goes up in case he draws Plastic Caterpillar, Enlightened Ascetic, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, he draws a Conclave Naturalist, and then he makes a 4/4 and magically has a 9/9 trample with haste.
10/10 even.
Yeah, 10/10.
All right, but Tom Martel's on the beatdown plan here. And there's Celestial Flare to keep his Charging Griffin alive. It did get blocked, so it's not going to deal damage this turn, but there you go. And a Knight of the Pilgrim's Road is the follow-up. His last card in hand, I believe, for Martel, but jeez.
He's got to feel good about it.
Yeah. Sentinel of the Eternal Watch. Is it actually going to get beaten?
I believe it will.
Martel's at a comfortable 11 life here.
We've seen Sentinel of the Eternal Watch beaten before on camera today.
Oh, yeah?
But it was beaten by 2 copies of Sentinel of the Eternal Watch.
Does that count? Yeah, that counts.
I think it counts. Yeah, so Tom's going to get over with everybody. I think we're going to see a game 3 here, and it looks like the second table
is going to go to game 3 as well.
LSV.
Yeah, we'll jump over to that one if this one ends up going in Tom Martel's favor shortly here. All right, 7 mana. Wow. Priest of the Bloodright. There's also a Topin Freeblade there. And remember, there's Sentinel of the Eternal Watch, and Tom Martel is top decking here.
Well, no, because he can attack with all the flyers after one gets tapped.
Okay.
And then he gets in for 2 damage, and then Ben falls to... Oh, no, Ben's at 5 now.
He's at 5.
Oh, okay.
So one gets tapped, one gets blocked. The Aven gets in for 2, dropping Ben to 3.
Yeah, he can only put Ben to 1 here.
He cannot get in with the Knight, and Ben would go to 1. Martel's at 4.
This is interesting.
Also, let's remember that Eric Froelich is sitting right to Ben Stark's side, just in case. Ben doesn't need the help, but it's always nice to have, somebody to vet your decisions. It's like, look at Efro, he gives you the slow head shake. Okay, I'll rethink that one. Look at Efro, he just stares at you. All right, I did good.
Nice. We did it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw Eric move over kind of on that side.
Notice these matching lands. These guys don't mess around.
True professionals.
Good style here. Now, is Ben deciding what creature to tap?
That's game. So Ben Stark wins. No reaction? You're just dumbfounded?
Yeah, well, what happened?
I think Martel decided that he couldn't win.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a little confused.
It's in the past now, buddy.
I probably missed something.
I want reactions.
Yeah, whoa, I mean, jeez.
You're supposed to talk.
Yeah,
I know it's hard.
I'm sorry. I was trying to figure it out.
Slackjaw JBL.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's jump over to our middle match where we have a game 3, Calculated Dismissal, countering the only creature there, Freakus Disciple for Luis Scott Vargas.
Pecking away 2 at a time, or 1 at a time.
Just 1 at a time. But with no board stake for Luis, it's going to be tough for him to come back here as Alexander Hayne seems to have, 3 cards in hand or something like that. You got to figure he's got some nice stuff, though. Maybe not too worried about a Timberpack Wolf here. Interesting, though. Luis, he's got Outland Colossus in his hand. He decided not to play it. He didn't want to play it into a counterspell or removal spell or something like that.
With Alex having that many cards in his hand and 5 mana open, and he even has a Fedodim in play, so that it's trumped on the board, essentially. Be pretty...
He's going to try to
pretty
get
bold to go for it.
He's going to try to get Alexander to trade off for something lesser.
Yeah,
like maybe this wolf.
Yeah, I mean now that he has a card like the Bounded Crisis in his hand, also, that's going to give him some more openings too.
Okay. And he's perfectly happy with this. Now does he slam Colossus? No, he's going to play the Crisis.
I like that.
I do too. Some high-level play down here between two awesome teams. All right, so it looks like the judges jumped in here. And I think gave them maybe like slow play warnings, but I think they may have appealed it. We're going to kind of let the situation develop before we figure out exactly what's going on. And there it is, bone to ash.
Oh, cryptic command.
Yeah,
Pretty
but
nice.
that's what Luis wanted, because now he gets to play this. Outland Colossus, do you have an answer for that one? Kind of. Got the Fed here.
Got the Fed. This is, it happens the same way every game, it feels like.
It does. But you know. Oh, anchor to the Aether. It's going to put it back on top of the library. And you know what that means? 6 +1/+1 counters on the Owlin Colossus means this clock is fast. And Kothafed as a play is no longer good enough.
And he also knows that Alex's draw step is Kothafed.
Exactly. And that's it. Kothafed down. Now, I know that Luis has Wild Instincts in his hand, too.
Oh, yeah, so that's it. Yeah.
Which is exactly 14.
Yeah.
For 1 mana, there's nothing that Alexander Hayne can do, and that's it. Luis Scott Vargas wins his match, and that secures the deal. Ben Stark and Luis win their matches 2-0, and they are going to be the team to stay undefeated here on day 1 after round 7. That was exciting.
That was very exciting.
Awesome Magic played. We saw Paul Cheon rocking and rolling on all cylinders there, and just was able to get it at the last second with that Chandra's Ignition. Eric looked like he might be close thanks to that Javelin that he drew. Wasn't quite good enough, and his teammates, though, took care of both of them. That's going to do it for round 7 here in Detroit.